Welcome to your Newmar 2026 New Aire walkthrough in a 3545 floor plan. If you come up front, we'll start at the cockpit area. The touchpad for the leveling. The leveling is what you want to do when you park your coach. The way to turn this touchpad on is to activate the start-stop key switch, and that will give the touchpad power to operate. So once you see the travel mode come on, you will make sure that if you're going to level, you want to make sure to run your slide rooms out first and then level second. So our slide rooms, we've run out, and we run those slide rooms out while we are on our air. So make sure the coach is aired up, run the slide rooms out, and then we level. So you can see here, we're now in the travel mode. And to level, we can do it in two separate ways. The easiest way to level the coach is go into the auto level here. So you press the auto level button. You'll hear the air going out of the airbags. Coach will slightly drop down, and then you'll be able to hear the jacks extending towards the ground, and then that will level the coach. It takes a couple of minutes to go through the process. You can hear the pump start it up, and as the jacks go down, you'll notice the red LED light comes on, and that's indicating that that jack over in this corner is going down. Now you see the other one in the rear, that one's going down, and all of the jacks will go down, touch the ground, and continue to level the coach. Once it's level, you'll see all the red lights are on, indicating that all the jacks are deploying or started to deploy. You can hear the warning for the jacks. As long as you leave the touchpad on, you'll hear that warning, and that warning is telling you that you don't want to move the coach. So once the coach is level, you'll notice that none of the other lights are on, and the jacks are no longer deploying because the pump is off. So we have leveled the coach. So now we can turn the key off, and then our warning light goes off. You can do the reverse of that to retract. So we would just turn our key back on, and if you hit auto store, then you see that LED light is flashing for the auto store. Now all of our jacks will come up and retract. When each jack is fully retracted, the red light will go out for that jack. So these are now retracted, and the rear ones will follow. And once we are fully retracted on all the jacks, the red lights are out, then we can turn off the key here. So you can see now we are back in travel mode. So we're now in travel mode. We are finished auto storing, and it's time to air the coach up. So why do we want to air the coach up now is because before we run the slide rooms back in or retract the slide rooms, we want to have the airbags fully inflated, and then we run the slide rooms in, and then we'll be ready to travel. So to do that, we just press the brake, press the key a second time, coach starts, and now the coach is airing up. You can see here on the dash, we've got the front and rear labeled F and R in the center, and as the engine runs, the compressor in the engine will air up the airbags in the front and the rear, and you can see the orange needle traveling over to the right on both. And once it's aired up, then of course you would run or retract your slide rooms in, and then you'd be able to drive your coach. So we'll wait a second, and both of these orange needles should be the same on the front and rear. To get a better view of that, I can press my foot on this pedal down here in the corner, and I can move the steering wheel down a little bit so you can have a better view. This, of course, is a glass dash, and all the gauges starting from the left to the right here, you've got your fuel, your engine temperature, engine oil pressure, and then of course we're looking at our air bags in the front and the rear, and our DEF. This of course is our tachometer, speedometer, and this is our home screen in the center here. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but to view the different settings in the home screen, that's all done right here on the right side of the wheel. You can see now both of the needles for the air have stopped moving, and our coach is fully aired up. So now we would be able to run the slide rooms in and be able to travel with the coach. So we'll turn the coach off, and we'll come back over here and we'll move forward to the next control. When our coach is aired up and we're ready to travel, all the slide rooms are in, and any satellite or other awnings have been retracted, then we'll be able to release the parking brake by pushing it in. Once we push that in, then we come over here and we can select either drive or reverse. Obviously the center is neutral. You want to leave the coach in neutral when you come to park. Put it in neutral and then pull out on the parking brake whenever you come to a stop. So D is drive. You'll automatically see the gear that you're in displayed here, and you'll be able to select different modes and see in the small window here, LED window, what gear, or if there are any codes that you need to look at as far as temperature and levels of oil. Just in front of your gear pad for your engine and transmission, you've got your mirror. The mirrors left and right. So when you're adjusting the left mirror on the driver's side, you can go left, right, up, and down. In the center is neither mirror, so you can touch it and nothing will happen to either mirror. To the right then is adjusting the mirror on the passenger side, up and down, left and right. Just to the left of that is the mirror heat. So if we turn that on and it illuminates red, that means the heater is on the mirror, and of course that will melt any moisture or frost off the mirror, and that will give you better visibility. You don't need that on a nice day or when there's no moisture on it. You can leave it off. Again, leave this selector left and right in the center. If you've made your adjustments, leave it in the center. That way if you touch it by accident, it won't move the mirror. Just in the front of that, you've got your window for the driver window here, and then you've got your ATC override here, and you've got your engine brake here. So If you're using or wanting to use your engine brake, this is the switch to turn it on, and this is to turn it off. The ATC override is on, just momentary here. You can see the light comes on here. And then hit it again and it goes off. You got your cup holders here. Just in front of that, you've got your bright and dim for your headlights. So if we turn those on, we can control the dim or brightness of all the switches here. We've got our house battery boost right here. What this switch will do is if your batteries are a little bit low, either on the house or on the chassis side, you can use the other bank to help boost those house batteries, or you can use the house batteries to boost the chassis just by pressing down or up. And that's something you will want to use if the coach won't start. Obviously, you want to hold that down for 60 seconds. That connects the charge bridge solenoid, so both battery banks engage, and then you'll be able to start your coach. Now, obviously, if the batteries on one or both of these are too low, you'll have to charge both banks of batteries. But in most cases, you'll be able to toggle this towards the side that you want to boost, and you'll be able to engage the other set of batteries so you can continue on. You've got your dome light here. This is the high beams auto. So you can turn this on, and then instead of having to turn your high beams to bright or dim, this automatically will dim them when oncoming traffic is close by. This panel here is the charger for your phone. So you can just lay your phone here and it will charge. This is, of course, for your parking lights. This is for your headlights on and off. And this one is for your fog lights. We talked a little bit about this. This is our parking brake. We want to make sure to pull this. It applies the air brakes for the chassis. And then when we want to travel, then we push it forward to travel. Pull to engage. Just to the right of that, you've got your louvers for air. And then we talked a little bit about the glass dash over here, and we'll go into a little more detail now. So looking at the center is where you'd want to go to your home screen. So you can scroll up and down. If I scroll this arrow up, you can see I'm moving to a different selection. So here I've got my brightness, I've got my messages, I've got my settings here, and anytime that I choose one of those, then I can press the OK button, and then that takes me to the next window because I've selected that setting. So now that I've selected settings, I can scroll up and down to units, sound, TPMS, tire pressure monitoring. And once I've selected that, for instance, if I select units, I can press OK, and now I can select which unit I want to change or adjust. Speed and distance, for instance, I could select that by pressing OK again. Right now, it's set to kilometers. So since I'm in the US, I would want to select miles. So I go up here to miles and press OK. So then now I've selected this speedometer to read out in miles per hour. So that's basically how you do it. You scroll up and down after you select house, and you choose, let's say for information, for instance, press OK, and then now I can scroll up and down and I can view transmission temp, engine torque, exhaust temp, and different things in any one of these categories. So just make your selection, press OK, and then once you're in the window, you can go up and down to select and make changes. You can see there's another window just below that. That is for your lane mitigation and braking. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we go outside. Okay, we showed you a little bit earlier, there's a small pedal here on the left, and what that is it's our adjustment pedal for the wheel telescoping and tilt. So if I press that down, now I can tilt the wheel. I can also pull it or telescope it in or out and make the adjustments I want, you know, for while I'm driving, or if I just want to completely push it forward to get out of the way, then I just release, and now it's locked into place. So press down, unlocks it, release, and that locks the wheel back in place. So coming over here to the just to the right side of the glass dash, you'll see two screens here, and this is our camera viewing and control. So this is integrated into an Excite core, a radio core, and those adjustments for the radio can be made here in the center for your volume and source for tuning your radio and volume up and down. In addition to that, you can adjust your lights, and you can intermittently turn them on or off here, or you can X out the volume completely here. The other control on the wheel obviously is the horn. Here on the left side here, we've got our wiper, wash, and off. We also have our telephone. If we want to make a phone call, we can press the green button. Hang up is the red. Just a quick note on making the telephone call. You'll have to have your telephone Bluetoothed to the radio core, the Excite core, in order for this function to work. There's the high-low adjustment for your wipers here. If you press it once, it'll go high. Press it again, it goes low. And intermittent, however we adjust the intermittent delay, in other words, if I turn it on intermittent and I press the intermittent button again, there's that amount of delay. So if I wait 10 seconds and press it again, then it's going to delay 10 seconds. If I wait only 5 seconds, then you're going to have a shorter 5-second delay. So as you press it a second time, that sets the amount of delay. So just to the left side of our left instrument cluster on the wheel, there's obviously our turn signal displayed on the dash, left and right. And whenever you make that selection or turn, the camera will display on that side of the coach. So this is our left turn displaying the left camera towards the rear. And we go right, and the right camera comes on and shows what's behind the coach on the right side. There's also the cruise control button here. So I can set my cruise here, turn it on and off, and then I would press the set button here in the center, and that will set my cruise. There is another control just to the inside back of that. If I pull the chrome steel handle out, my emergency flashers come on, front and rear coach. If I want to turn them off, just hit the turn signal either way, and that turns the emergency flashers off. Moving over to the center instrument cluster, we've got our dash radio and camera. The screens are actually split when you're viewing them separately, And we're going to go through the menu so you know how to navigate through these screens. So starting at the top here, you can see that we have selected the radio. So in order to make a selection, you start with menu, press menu, and then you would select radio here, and the radio screen appears. Now you can make your selections for the radio, whether that's bands or tuning. Our favorites are set down here. We can still have the radio and do the tuning while we're viewing our cameras on the right. Going back to the menu, my next selection over would be our media center. Our Sirius XM, our Bluetooth. Now, to make a telephone call using the Bluetooth or to play music on your phone or iPad or other smart device, you have to pair your phone like this. You have to press the phone icon and then have that device turn the Bluetooth on. Once you pair your smart device or your phone and turn your Bluetooth on that device, you'll be able to make telephone calls from your steering cluster here on the left. The HDMI and the auxiliary plugs are over on the left-hand side on the lower cluster here. If we plug those in, then we'll be able to see that we are connected to the radio here. Our camera control can either be touched here at the shortcut, and we are going straight to that screen, or if we're in the menu, instead of using the shortcut, you can use the camera selection. So from the camera screen, if we make a selection at the bottom of any of these icons, where the yellow shade is pointing to, that's the screen that will appear. So this would be the front, showing the front. If we wanted to show 360, then we can see our 360 and all of the icons that are shaded down at the bottom here. Once you touch the screen, you can select which one you want to view. So this would be the rear and so forth. Going back to the menu, our next icon over is our iPod, and then navigation. Whenever we get to the navigation screen, we have to accept the terms before we can go into that screen, so we have to press accept. We are inside a building, so it's going to be looking for the GPS signal. If we're outside, obviously that'll pick up. Once we get into the navigation screen, then we can go into a more detailed selection of routes and useful information as we scroll over with the left or right arrows. And then our Mobileye. Our Mobileye appears on the glass dash. So once we make the selection for our Mobileye, if our ignition is turned on, we're going to be able to see the Mobileye lane and the lane change warning icon here, which tells you if you're drifting out of your lane. And then our setup screen. And we can go into systems, video, or audio and set those up. There's currently no paired device, but we can pair our phone. There is a favorites button. The favorites button is what you decide you want to be your favorite. You can set your favorite. In this case, it's set to the Sirius XM. Just below the touch screen, we have our visor up and down, and our shade up and down, our docking lights, overhead fans. The overhead fans are here at the windshield. If we turn those on, we can select high, medium, or low, and that will help move air in the cockpit area and defrost the windshield. There's another one that's labeled fan, and this one is for the lower fan. This one is for the lower fan heat. If we have our ITR Oasis hydronic furnace turned on, then we'll be able to make a selection here for low, and then we'll have heat blowing out of here once the hydronic furnace heats up. In the center is off, and then the fan would be a high blower setting here, and it will blow heat out in the cockpit area only. The next one over is the generator. To start the generator, just press. You can see that it's flashing, meaning it's priming and preheating. And that's a diesel generator. That's why it needs to prime and preheat. Once it's preheated and primed, it will start. Once it starts, we can turn it off just by pressing towards the bottom or the word stop. Our entrance lock is for the entrance door to lock and unlock the entrance door, and to switch from street horn here to air horn is just turning the air horn towards the upper position, and then our air horn would work. Our courtesy lights and our visor. Below that, we have our selection for HVAC here in the cockpit area. If our ignition is turned on and our engine's running, we'll be able to have heating or cooling. To select the cooling side for air conditioning, we would press the snowflake button. Once we press the snowflake button, there's a small LED that lights up, a blue one, that tells you that your air conditioning system is on, and then you will want to select towards the left or the blue, which is cool or cold. If we press the button on the top, that's recirculating. That recirculates the air in the cockpit. If we want to have fresh air coming in, we can turn the recirculation off, and that allows a certain amount of fresh air to come in. We can leave our cooling on at the same time if we'd like. And if we're defrosting, we'd want to move this over towards the right for heat, and then make a selection towards defrost here, or down lower, or in the mid area here for the vents in the middle part of the dash. When we're done operating that HVAC system, we can just go to the 0, and that turns it off. Below that, we have additional storage drawers here. When you first enter the coach here at the entrance door, in the stepwell area to your right, there's a switch that's labeled all lights off and all lights on. These are the ceiling lights. So if we press that down, our ceiling lights will go out, and then if we press it up, they'll turn back on. So if you're exiting the coach, you can turn them all off, and then when you come back, you can turn them all on. When you first come in the entrance on your left, if you look near the floor, is your fire extinguisher. It has a quick release. It's a black release. If you push that down, you'll be able to remove the fire extinguisher, pull the pin, and press the trigger. Above that is a storage compartment and a charging port here for USB and USB-C. The battery disconnect switch, when it's on, is illuminated red. When you first enter the coach, you'll need to turn the battery disconnect switch on to connect your house batteries so you can operate things in the coach like your ceiling lights. So when it's on, it's glowing red, and when it's off, there's no light there at all. Above that are your patio lights outside and your interior stepwell lights turn on and off with the patio lights. Beside that is your baggage compartment door lock and unlock. Above that is your cup holder, your map lights, your visor shade, which is behind our nightshade, and the step cover. Where I'm standing now, I can extend a additional step over so I can be at the same height as the regular floor. To do that, I move to the floor level and press the step cover. It will extend and lift. And then I can release the button once it's locked into place. And now I can stand at the floor level, which makes it nice when you're traveling or when you've come to a stop and you are wanting to use the floor space. To store it back is the same switch in the opposite direction or towards the rear. Drops the step and stows it away. Just hold it until it shuts off and then release. Just behind these switches is our phone charger for our cell phone. Just lay your phone here to charge it. And above that is your buddy screen. This buddy screen mimics everything that our main screen does at the radio. It does need to be turned on, and then you can make the selections for navigation and camera. To move this in a position where you would use it, you would loosen the knob and then rotate it around where you like and then tighten it. Then turn it on and select navigation or camera. When you're finished, just turn it off. Loosen the knob and rotate it back in the stowaway position and tighten it. Okay, so we're going to look here at the seat controls. They're electric. The first control in the back is for the heat. There's a high and a low for the seat heat here where I'm sitting. There's a lumbar support. There is the seat back for tilt, forward and back. And then our footrest here. We can operate the footrest in the passenger seat whenever we'd like, but the footrest on the driver's side will only operate when you're parked and the parking brake is set. And this forward one is to move the seat forward and back, or the base can be tilted forward and back. There is an additional switch on my right-hand side which releases the seat so you can turn it into the living room area for another seat. So if I lift that up, I'll show you how that looks. We want to make sure our armrest is out of the way. And then we can rotate our seat all the way around and face the living room area. You can see here, this is the lever that you have to lift to release the seat to rotate. We can fold the armrests out of our way or back down. These armrests are self-adjusting to the level position. As we move our seat back or forward, they will self-adjust to stay in the level position. When we're finished with the chair towards the living room position, let's say we're ready to travel again, we can just rotate to the front. We want to make sure to go in the same direction, the opposite direction of which we came. We don't want to go the opposite way around. Just come back this way, and you'll hear the seat click, and it will lock back into position. And then we can fold the armrests back anytime we like. And the driver's seat is the same way. It's just that the footrest will only operate when you're parked with the parking brake on. Here above the driver's seat, we're going to open this cabinet, and you'll see that inside of this cabinet, we have some controls and receivers. At the very top is our satellite prep. So if we remove that plate, we'll be able to connect to a cable that we would run to the satellite through here, And you'll notice in the back wall there's 120 volt outlets, and those would be used to connect your satellite receiver to plug those in to power them up. Inside of the satellite prep, Newmar installs a pull wire. So when you open that up, you'll see a wire that's there. You can connect your cable to it and then pull that wire through to bring your satellite coax down to your receiver. On the back wall on the right is your video system switch to turn on the video here. On the top here is your Wi-Fi Ranger router. This router is connected with a cable that goes up on the roof to the antenna. So you'll need to power this up to have the Wi-Fi Ranger and the antenna on the roof pull in your Wi-Fi signals. And below that is our Starlink receiver. So in the next cabinet over, we have additional controls and panels, and we're going to go over those starting at the left here. This is a touch to awaken panel. This is for your Victron inverter. Your Victron inverter is pictured here in the center of the screen. And you'll notice at the very center of that picture, there's a black toggle switch. So that black toggle switch is located right on the face of the inverter, and that's in the basement compartment. And that black switch needs to be turned on before you'll have this panel appear and be able to use it. So we want to make sure that if this panel's not on or working, go downstairs, turn the inverter on, and this panel will wake up. So once this panel wakes up, it has two screens. This is the first screen. If we scroll to the left, you'll see it has the same type of information, just on a different page display. So going back over to the first screen, you'll see these are your AC loads, this is your grid, and this is your voltage and wattage. If we touch this panel, we get to make a selection. If we do that, we can press menu. Once we go to the menu screen, we'll have additional device lists here that we can scroll up and down here. Once we press one, we can scroll and make another selection to see what the state of charge is, what our voltages are, and we can go back to the back arrow. We can make another selection. Let's say we want to see what maybe our notifications are. Can press that. Currently there aren't any. When we're ready or we're finished with the device list and viewing what our float charge is or our battery voltages are, what our state of charge is, we can go back by pressing the Pages button. And that takes us back to the home screen. To learn more about your inverter, refer to your Victron Owner's Guide. Newmar recommends that you leave your inverter turned on. There are two selections that you can make, either inverter on or charger on, and the toggle in the center is off. So Newmar recommends you leave the inverter on because if you lose shore power, the inverter will still supply power to your refrigerator so you don't lose your fresh food. Just to the right of that is your Winegard over-the-air antenna. When you first turn it on here in the upper left, it scans like it showed, and it shows how many channels it picked up. We're inside of a building, so it's not going to pick up any channels, but however many channels it picks up, it displays those in the center. Once you lock in to that channel on your TV, you can then make small adjustments here to the antenna if needed, left or right, or you can rescan and it will go through a scanning process again if you feel that it went through the scan and didn't pick up enough channels. When you're finished watching over-the-air TV and you want to watch cable, you need to turn this off. If this over-the-air receiver is not turned off, you won't be able to watch cable. So remember, this is off to watch cable, and it's turned on to have over-the-air TV channel reception. Just to the right of our Winegard TV antenna receiver is our solar prep. The solar prep is behind this panel. So if you wanted to connect your solar panel indicator, you need to take these screws loose and make your connection there and then mount your panel here. Below that is your BMS, or your battery management system. This coach is equipped with lithium batteries, and those batteries are controlled by the battery management box or system. On the side of the box in the baggage compartment is the same identical switch to turn the BMS on or off. If your coach was in storage, you would need to go downstairs and find this blue illuminated switch, or come in the coach and find it here, press it, and then the blue light would come on and your batteries would then be connected to your coach, and you would be able to turn on your battery disconnect to on and have lighting and control here in your coach. This always has to be on in order for you to have the house batteries working for your coach. If this happens to go out while you're camping, it means that the brain box or the BMS disconnected your batteries from your coach. It would only do that if it's on the last 10% of state of charge. In other words, if you see that go out, it's telling you, hey, I'm on my last 10% of my power, I'm turning off. You can then press the button again, but you're on that last 10% of battery available charge. And if you do that, we recommend you right away turn your generator on to get those batteries charged up, or plug in your shore cord, make sure it's plugged in so that the batteries will charge.
It will say reserve over here on your KIB panel as well until you charge it.
If you're on your last 10% and you look at your monitor panel in the hallway, it will say reserve. And that's another clue that you need to get your batteries charged, either by turning your generator on or making sure your shore cord is plugged in. Our next row of switches over here on the left is your optional satellite switch. There's no rocker here. It's just a blank switch. If you install a satellite system, then you could put your satellite switch here. This is your miscellaneous equipment, your Wi-Fi router, which is the one over on the left. That needs to be turned on to be powered up. If it is powered up, you'll be able to see on the back side there's a green LED light that comes on. If it's turned off or down, you won't be able to get Wi-Fi signal. The entrance exterior step switch can be turned on and off if you want to keep the step out all the time. So you can turn that on if you want the step to remain out. And that's convenient because if you're going in and out of your coach a lot, you don't want every time the door opens the steps to go out, and then when you close the door, the steps go in. The exterior LED lights can be lit up here. And then this panel is for your slide outs. Slide out, extend, or retract. Before you open or close a slide out, make sure that the driver and passenger capstan seats here in the cockpit are forward. If you don't make sure that the seat back is forward enough, the slide out fascia here inside the coach can rub on the back of the seat and damage the leather or bend the seat. Before you operate either one of your slide outs, passenger side or driver, it gives that warning right here at the top. In addition to that, we want to make sure that our coach is on air ride suspension or aired up before we operate the slide in either direction, extend or retract. And we want to make sure that it's aired up even when we're retracting. So just remember, air up the coach before you run your slide room out or retract it to store it. Our next set of controls is our door awning here at the entrance door, open and closed, and the light on the fascia of that door awning. Our privacy drapes here in the front, driver on the left, front here on the front windshield, and over on our door and our privacy drape. Our security lights on and off. Just press again and they go out. And that concludes this panel. So moving over to our next compartment is storage, shelves. And over here on the passenger side, we have our 120 volt plugs that go over to our Girard awnings. So if we want our Girard awnings to the patio awnings on the passenger side to operate, these have to be plugged in. And either we have to be plugged into shore power or we have to have the inverter turned on because those motors are 120 volt. And in this panel, those cords come over to these two controls. Whenever we have power, 120 volt power, these two LED lights will be illuminated, which means we can operate the Girard patio awnings. If these are plugged in and we don't have the red LED lights, we'll need to look at the GFCIs in the coach and see if maybe one of those tripped, because these are on a GFCI circuit. And then we'd have to reset the GFCI before the awnings would work. If you want to operate the Girard awnings without the remote control or without using this touch panel, you can by using these rocker switch buttons right here on the side of either box. The one on the top extends, the one in the middle stops, and the one on the bottom retracts. So we can open or close or press the middle one to stop either the front or the rear awning anytime with the manual touch control here on the sides of the box. To use the touch panel control, you have to select either one or two, and that will open the front or the rear awning. If you want to operate both awnings at the same time, the channel selection would be 0. Now you can open both awnings at the same time just by pressing the in or out button here. There's an LED light button that you can also press to turn on the LED strips on the bottom of both of the awnings. In the center here is our shade module controller and the door awning controls along with fuse. So if for any reason our door awning fails to operate, we would want to open this fuse holder and check our fuse and replace it if needed to make sure that door awning works. And that concludes this panel. At the front of every Newmar coach is a smoke detector. This can be removed by turning counterclockwise and removed. We can check the battery here. We can test it by pressing this button and get the sound to make sure that it's operational. If it's not, replace the battery and then reinstall and turn clockwise to lock. I'm standing here in the living room in front of the theater seating. You'll notice behind me is our touch panel control, and that has all the same functions as the 10-inch one in the hallway. So I can go to any room or any function and control it here as I'm sitting down, including the TV lift, which is across from the theater seating. We'll show you that in just a minute. The theater seating has the controls here at the cup holder. So if I press the extend for my footrest and my seat back, it will extend the footrest and tilt the seat back. And then to retract it, the center button, just press and hold. And each cup holder has a separate lighting switch you can turn on and off. And in between the seats, we have additional storage space. And inside is a 120 volt outlet with a USB and USB-C charger port. Above the theater seating is more storage. And at the end on the wall is another 2 charging ports and a 120 volt outlet. So we're standing in front of the dinette table, and behind me is the Bose speaker in the center and the audio visual cabinet where you would connect your receivers for DVD or satellite. Both of those cords are in the back and labeled, along with the satellite connections and 120 volt outlets, so you can plug your receivers in and put your receivers in this compartment. The Bose speaker can be used through the TV or independently. If you have your remote for the Bose speaker, you can use that and connect it to your smart device like your phone or your iPad. Another storage compartment here. And the table is a pull out to extend. So once we pull that out, we can put our table leaves in here and get the additional seating that's underneath the bed lift in the bedroom and add our seats here. When we're finished, we remove the leaf and close the table. So we can control the TV lift here at this control panel or at the central panel, or if you're sitting in the theater seating, that would be our choice to raise the TV lift up. We'll demonstrate that now. So we would want to touch to awaken the touchpad and then go to the home screen and go to TV lift. Press TV lift and then up. Once our TV lift is raised, we can use our remote to turn the TV on, and to watch over-the-air channels or cable, we need to scan those channels so that they're in the memory of the TV. And remember that if you have your Winegard over-the-air antenna on, you won't be able to view the cable. So turn that off if you want to watch the cable. With our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here. And now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wine guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels. Yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the wine guard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air wine guard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom.
Good.
To lower it, just press down. Beside the dinette table area, we have our cabinets here and lower. The pantry drawers are push to open, so just press in and release, and then the drawer opens. To lock it, just close it and you'll hear it lock. The louvered vents at the base are for the return air and the heating. When you have your ITR Oasis turned on, you'll be able to feel the heat come out. Here at the floor is the intervac system. You can sweep here and then just open this door and sweep out, and that will go down into the vac. We can connect to the same vac here with our accessories. Just lift the door and connect your hose here, and then your attachments to do your cleaning. When you're finished, just close. With your coach, you have your inner vac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, you just plug it in. And then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the inner vac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away, but be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on. So moving over into the kitchen area, we have our overhead cabinets with the pull-out drawer. You'll notice the plug for the 120 volt outlet that comes over here to the microwave. To open the microwave, there's a handle here on the side, just pull to open. Newmar has added a secondary latch, so when you close it, the door latch and the secondary one will keep it closed during transit. Below that is our cooktop. If you remove the covers and flip them over, there's a cutting board on the back of each one. This is a true induction cooktop, and you have to use the magnetic cookware. It's portable. If you lift on each side, you can lift it out, unplug it, and use it outside. When you're finished, just plug it back in. Before you put the covers back on, make sure it's cooled down. When you make a selection here for the amount of heat, you have to have a pan there or it times out and the LEDs will go out after a few seconds. When you're finished and the cooktop is cooled down, just put your covers back on. The large drawer underneath the cooktop are your remote controls and your accessory tools, and we'll demonstrate these outside along with your second pair of keys. The dishwasher is a Fisher Paykel. The door is locked for travel. If I pull on it, it won't open until I turn it on, and then you'll hear the door unlock and the display will light up. Now the door is unlocked and I can open it, load, unload, close the door, and set to whatever setting I want for wash. To make it child-proof, there is a lock you can press, and you can see the lock come on now. I won't be able to operate it until I press that again, hold it for a couple seconds until the lock goes away. Now I can operate it again. Before you travel, make sure you turn it off so the lights go out just by pressing the same button we used to turn it on. So that would lock the door and this tray won't open when you're traveling. We have the drawers for more storage here. Under the sink, there's an area here where you can put your covers or your cutting boards. The trash receptacle here. The sink covers can be removed. This is a telescoping wand. On and off, hot and cold. Moving over to your Samsung refrigerator, it's a tri-door Samsung. In the center, between the upper and lower doors, there's a lock that Newmar installs. It's an additional lock. When it's over to the left, the doors will not open in transit, and you want to make sure that the lock is to the left when you're traveling. That way these doors won't slide open when you turn corners. When you're ready to open the doors and you come to a stop and you parked, then you can move this lever to the right. Now your doors will open. The ice maker tray goes over on the left side. And in the refrigerator, the control to turn the ice maker on and off is here, along with the on and off for the refrigerator and temperature settings. So we're here at the hallway. This is your 10-inch control panel for all the systems in your coach. It operates the same way, touch to awaken, and then you can make your selections for any of the icons at the bottom. The screen has a dimming function here at the top right and a Bluetooth connectivity so that you can actually connect your smartphone or iPad via that Bluetooth connection, and then you can use your phone or your iPad or smart device and control your coach with the same type of controls that this screen does. So as long as you're connected with the Bluetooth, you can actually do everything that this panel does. So let's go to our home screen, starting at the left and the bottom, and we'll just go over this briefly for each of the selections you can make. From the home screen, you'll notice in the very center of the screen, you've got all zones are synced together at one temperature. So we can adjust the temperature in the coach just by pressing here for temperature up or temperature down. And we can select the upper left or left side here. We can look at our tanks, water pump, and each time that we press a selection for those icons, you'll notice there's a blue line that appears underneath. That means that it's turned on. The cargo entry master locks, these are all door locks here on the right hand side, and just above that are your lighting and shade controls. At our home screen, we can make some basic selections on our climate, which is in the center, or on the right we can adjust our lighting or shades. But to do more of an individual setting, we would choose an icon on the bottom here, on the bottom row, and we can go into those rooms or climates individually. The home screen is just for making those quick adjustments and looking at our tanks and or our batteries. Shows our house and chassis batteries state of charge for our house because they're lithium batteries, and our chassis battery voltage. So starting at the bottom left, just beside the home screen, which we're on now, is we can go to climate. And you'll notice that the icon in the center appears the same. It looks the same, but it shows the temperature. And now we can go into each one of those rooms, living room, bathroom, or bedroom, and we can change the setting individually, or if we leave all zones synced, then we can make the temperature adjustment here up or down, and all of the rooms will be at close to the same temperature. You'll notice on the far left there is an icon for setup, so we can go into a more detailed setup for our climate. Enable climate here. You'll notice in the center, enable AGS. So if we enable our AGS, which is our automatic generator starter, that way if we have our temperature set for our air conditioner, we'll be able, our temperature will maintain if we're not plugged in because the generator will come on. But you have to enable the generator if you want your temperature to be maintained, let's say for air conditioning in the coach. Just to the right of that, you have your dual heat, and we have, if we go back to that climate screen, you'll notice on the right hand side we have our Oasis. The Oasis is our hydronic heat for water and air heat. You have to have the Oasis burner turned on. So if you press that, you'll notice the blue line comes on. That means the burner is turned on, and then it gives you a status on the right. Burner is active. In addition to the heat from the burner, you can select the element 1 or 1 and 2 just below that. Just by pressing them, you'll see the blue icon come on or off as I press it. And on the right hand side of those, it gives you more information. It tells you if the element is shed. So if there's not enough power to run the element, for instance, you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp, you may notice it could say shed. Just below that, you've got your half bath heater. Inside the half bath, there's a blower for heat. We can turn that on and off as well. Moving to the shades, you've got your selection of room, living room, kitchen, bedroom, bath, or half bath, and then the day or night or all coach day and all coach night shades. Just beside that, you've got your fans. We can control the fans in each room, kitchen, bathroom, or half bath just by turning it on, and high, medium, low for each fan. If there's moisture in the air that might stop the fan from opening and coming on, you can press the rain override switch. If the rain override is on each one. So if you want the fan to come on and the lid to open, and it might be a real slight mist or rain outside, you can do that just by overriding the rain switch. Just to the right of that, we have our floor heat, front, middle, or rear. We can turn our power on first. Once we turn our power on, we show the icon that it's turned on, and then we can select low, medium, or high for each one of those areas. It doesn't set a temperature, but it gives you heat in a range of those settings. Our power icon is showing our power systems for alternating current or AC power on the left. And then on the right side, you've got your solar and generator. On the left side, you've got more detailed information on each leg coming in for 120 volt. And if our inverters are turned on, inverter 1 and 2, you'll have the blue icon that's lit up underneath. You want to leave your inverters turned on in case you lose shore power or generator. That way the food in your refrigerator will stay cool. On the right side, you've got your charger settings, 1 and 2. You want to leave your chargers on so that your batteries will be maintaining a good charge. The battery states of charge are on the very far right. The chassis voltage is given, and the house batteries, you don't get a voltage, you get a state of charge, and they're at 76%. The next icon over is systems. If you press that, you're going to see more detailed information coming in on leg 1 and leg 2 of your shore cord. It gives you the volts that are being supplied along with the amperages that are available. You'll notice that there is a blue line under everything that is operational or functional. If the blue line disappears, that means that that particular device, let's say for instance the AC, which is your rooftop air conditioner, if that blue line goes out and it's just a small white line, that means that it's been shed or it will not operate because there's not enough power. And you would typically see that when you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp supply cord, or if you're not running your generator. The next selection over is solar. If you have solar panels up on your roof, you're going to see the status and the voltages. The next one over is your generator. You can start your generator or stop your generator, and it gives you the demands that are being used. You can go into setup here, and if you need to set up your quiet time, you can do that for quiet time and the duration of hours. The chassis state of charge is showing on this screen as well. Our next screen over is the exterior. Our awnings. In the middle is your exterior lights and your door locks. Just by pressing any one of the awnings, you're going to open or close it. If you're going to operate your awnings, you should have someone outside to make sure that the awning is not going to open into something or close something, and you don't want something to be in the way of it. Obviously, the exterior lights on off, or you can adjust the setting in the bar in the center. The door locks are either on or off. The next icon over is your lighting. It gives you individual selection in each room, turning the lights on and off, or in the center, you can dim the lights with the bar in the center. Going into the bathroom, half bath, bedroom, or kitchen, you can go all on, all off, or just bathroom on, bathroom off. There is an aquamizer setting here in the lighting control. The aquamizer will go into more detail, and that's to save your fresh water. It actually recycles the water back into the fresh tank until it gets warm, and then you'll take your shower after that. The aquamizer is an indicator light, and we'll talk more about that in detail when we get back to the shower. We're going to move into the half bath. So to unlock the door for the bath, we just push down and the pocket door will slide and lock into place. So now that door is locked into place. So you come in the bathroom, you notice here we've got the sink, cabinet, medicine cabinet. There's an additional plug here, the plug for 120 volt if you need to charge something or plug in an accessory. Cabinet space here and below. Another 120 volt outlet plug. The louvers for your heat, forced air heat. Of course, this is your on and off, cold and warm. The Dometic power flush shows you have power here at the switch, and to flush we just press the button here. If we want to add water to the bowl, we just press this button after the flush is over. So we could add a little bit of water here. That brings up the level of water in the bowl. If you see the tank level LED illuminated, that means that the tank, if it turns amber, that your tank is getting close, the black tank is close to full. If this turns red, you won't be able to flush. There is an emergency exit door to get out of the coach if you can't make it to the front or the front door is locked and you need to exit the coach. Here's your lock and unlock. So you unlock that, unlock here. This door will open so you can exit the coach. Now you'll notice here there's a panel with a grab handle. So if I pull this after I open this door, if I pull this off, there's magnets that hold that on. There's a ladder, and I can flip that open after I release this Velcro here. I'll be able to escape out of the coach just by these stairs going down. So now I can exit the coach in an emergency. If I just want to store those back, emergency is over, lift those up, put the Velcro back, and then put my cover in place. I'll go outside to demonstrate that. Okay, to put the ladder back in place, so just grab a hold it telescopes back in place, and just lift up, put it in place, and then get our Velcro across. Put our panel back, and our magnets will hold it in place. Then we can close the door again. We've closed the door to lock it because you can't open it from the outside. You want to lock it here and here. So now we're locked. The shades here are controlled here with our touch panel. They're electric power shades, so we can close and open those here. Our shower has another lock because we don't want this door to be sliding while we travel. So we want to make sure that that lock is pushed down and locked in place to travel. But when we want to use the shower, now we unlock it, and now we can slide the doors. On the inside, you've got the overhead or the handheld shower part. You can turn one on or the other. And when you make that selection, it'll spray out of one or the other. You'll notice that there is a LED light indicator here. So what that is, if we turn that on with our touch panel, let's do that. It will save water out of your fresh water tank. It's an aquamizer. So what it's going to do is the water that's coming from your fresh tank that's cold before it gets warm, you're not going to lose that water. So we turn it on, it illuminates, and until the water that's coming out of the fresh tank is warm, that's going to stay the same color. Once the hot water starts coming through, that will turn red. Once that turns red, then we can turn this valve. You can see there's an emblem on there. We can turn this so that the water then will come through instead of recycling back to the fresh tank. That just helps save a lot of water out of your fresh tank. It just recirculates. Another key thing that you want to remember is the diverter valve that's just above the aquamizer light in the shower that needs to be turned into the shower position, not into the recycle position when you're filling your tank or winterizing your coach. So in the shower here, that is the drain. There is a seat that you can extend or retract here. And of course, when you're finished, again, just make sure that you close this so that your doors don't slide open and close while you travel. Above here on the ceiling, you have your ventilation fan. This is a fantastic fan. It can be manually opened. If you wanted to, you could grab a hold of this handle and just open it manually. All right. And air will go out here, or you can manually close it. If in an emergency that would work, but obviously you want to turn that on and off here on the panel. The panel that controls the functions here in the bathroom and other parts of the coach are right here. It's the same type of panel that we have on the outside. We're coming into the bedroom and we have another sliding door. So if we want to, it's locked in place right now. But if we want to unlock it, we push down and slide. And as it moves over to the end of travel, it locks again in place. So we're locked. So to open and close it, we always have to follow that arrow, push down and open or close. So back on the wall here, we've got our speaker switches. So if we have our radio on at the dash, we can turn one or both speakers on here in the overhead, and we can have music back here in the bedroom. Just above that is our temperature monitor. This monitors the temperature in the rear of the coach, or this particular zone. We have extra storage in these compartments above the bed. There's another 120 volt plug there. Windows on both ends. And the front, we have nightstands. The nightstands have an additional, you can't see it, but there's another 120 volt plug here at the nightstand. And there's an open area right at the top so that you could plug something in to that recept and not have to open this door. Underneath the bed, we can lift this bed up. And we can see that's our storage area for our table, leaf extensions. There is additional controls and motor for the slide underneath here, but those are underneath these panels here on both sides. These are removable, but they're screwed in place. So moving over here to the other side of the bed is just more storage area. Another nightstand with the 120 volt receptacle in the back, with an opening here to plug things in if you need. As you're laying in bed, you'll be able to look up above on the bottom side of this cabinet. You'll see a touch panel. That touch panel, just a touch to illuminate, it's for all the shades and lighting in this area. It's just same as on the wall over there. Controls for the bedroom here. Moving over here, we've got our closet space and our safe. The safe has its own key and passcode. And then once you use the passcode to get in, you can set your own passcode, one that you can remember. There is a light switch here on the end of the door that controls when you open and close the door, the light will go on and off. It automatically locks in this spot here. You can hear it lock. We open this one. We have additional space, storage for shoes. I have a cabinet here. In the bedroom closet on the end wall is a door. This one accesses your 120 volt breakers, your two sub panels for both of your inverters, inverter 1, inverter 2, and the 12 volt fuses and spare fuses. Starting at the top here is your main panel for your 120 volt power supply here. This has to be turned on or in the center. This is the center towards the left for the short cords power to come into this box and supply these breakers with power. If any of these breakers are tripped, they would be slightly over to the left and not towards the center. If you see a breaker that's tripped either all the way to the left or slightly in the center area, you'll need to move it all the way to the left and then back to the right to reset that appliance. In this case, it would be resetting the floor heat. As long as all of the appliances are on towards the center, they will operate. There is a load shedding system in this coach, and if the short supply for 120 volt is less than 50 amp, even though these breakers are on, one of those appliances might go into a shed where it wouldn't operate until you're on a 50 amp short cord. These are your sub panels. They have the same type of breakers that can be reset if they trip, or you can just turn one of those appliances off. If you decide you wanted to turn the refrigerator off, you can just turn it off like that. If the refrigerator isn't running, and you don't know why, and you come back here and you see that this breaker is tripped slightly or all the way, you'll need to go all the way down and then back to on to reset the refrigerator breaker. And the same goes with the breakers up here. Each one is labeled for the appliance that they feed power to. Below the breakers, we have the ATC net. This is a system where you can connect your telephone or iPad or smart pad laptop to this control via Bluetooth, and then you will be able to control all the functions that your touch panel does in your coach, and you'll see the same display. To the right of that is your 120 volt supply to the bedroom floor heat. This is the GFCI breaker that's connected to that. If you need to reset it, you'll need to use these reset buttons here. When it's on, you'll see the green LED light lit up, meaning it's operational. Our 12 volt fuses here are labeled on this panel. This displays all of the names of what these fuses supply power to. TV accessories, for instance, our bathroom closet lights, security lights, power door awning. So for instance, let's say your power door awning wasn't working. If you look to the left, it's F15. Then we would find F15 here for the power awning and then pull that fuse out. If it needs to be replaced, we have spare here. Put the fuse back. And that goes with any of these others, power stool, security lights, or any of the others. They're all labeled which location and the size of fuse it is. Match the fuse size here. Even if you pull the fuse and you look at it, if it's a different size than what's labeled, use the label size. Just below that is another access door you can open, and these are the hoses that supply the washer with hot and cold water, and a spigot on each one that you can turn off. So these doors have this position lock, which should hold the door, but for travel you want to make sure they're both locked so that neither one moves. That's what this lock is for. So if you grab a hold of this lock and pull it down, that will keep these doors from moving left or right, front or back. So this would unlock, this locks. So to open it, just leave it up. You can slide. Ready to travel, put it down. So just beside the closet, we have bifold doors for access to your washer and dryer. The dryer is just 120 volt. Setting it to auto dry or the timer dry here. The wash, if you're going to do a load of wash, we have put a little tag on here that we want you to remove the outside drain cap for the gray tank. And we want you to open that valve because as the clothes go through the wash cycle and the rinse cycle, a lot of water is passing through, and we don't want your gray tank to fill up. So if you open that gray tank drain and make sure your sewer connections are connected to the outside, all of this water will drain out instead of filling your gray tank. Just refer to your operator's manual for more information on the different types of cycles and operating with your touch panel control. So there's two additional panels here on the floor on this step up that are access to the engine. So this is an engine access panel. These black plugs need to be removed and the screws taken out. This panel needs to be removed first. After this panel comes, there's two clips, they just pull out, then you would remove the bottom one to access the engine. Obviously, that's for service at your chassis service shop. So here we have another television, and this cabinet to the right of it is the audio visual cabinet. This cabinet has your additional plugs, 15 amp, 120 volt, roof mount satellite if you had it, and your connections, which are labeled source, Blu-ray, DVD. So this is where you would mount and plug in your satellite receiver if you had that option. And this is a cable plug for the roof mount satellite here. Of course, this is the TV and the remote you would use to operate that. We have more storage space here. A lot of extra storage here in these drawers and cabinet. To operate the shades, again, if you want to open or close them, you just go to your touch panel here, go to the home screen, select shades, and of course we've got our night shades down. If you select the bedroom shades, you can see they're going up. There is an egress window here for an emergency exit, so in the event that you were in this room, you needed to get out in an emergency, the red handle, just grab the red handle, pull it to the right, and then this window will slide over, and then you could exit out in an emergency. So then, of course, to close it, you can just close it and lock in place. There's an air conditioner in the rear of the coach, and the filters for that air conditioner in this rear zone are inside of this, what we call a compartment. The louvers and this tool, if you put this up inside these louvers, then you can pull down. And once you pull this down, you'll be able to access the filters. So the air that's coming out comes through these openings here on the driver's side. The air that's going back up into the ductwork that gets heated or cooled goes through these filters. So these filters need to be kept clean. So you can grab a hold of these registers, and you can open this up, take this out, blow it out, and then rinse it with warm soapy water, then clean water, rinse it thoroughly. You can wring it out, let it air dry, put it back in place, and then pop it back in the opening after they're clean and dry. Then you'll see the two clips here and here. They clip on both ends. You just want to make sure that this wire for the lighting stays over to the side. Then you can close this, line up your locks, and clip into place. Just to the front of the louvers, you've got another carbon monoxide detector. It will test and operate similar to the smoke detector in that it has an LED light that flashes intermittently. You can see the light here will flash that tells you you've got battery power, but to make a quick test, you just press and hold the center. You'll hear the beep that tells you that it's active and that it would alarm if there was CO2 in the room. If you don't get the alarm or LED light, just squeeze and pull down. Check your battery. It may need a new battery. Replace that battery and do the same thing to test it again to make sure it works. So these air conditioning and heat pump louvers and the filters are in the same exact configuration as the ones we just looked at in the bedroom, and they use the same tool to open and close the louvers. So there's a louver here that you'll need to bring down, and that one, it's the exact same thing. Just put your tool in and pull down. All right, and then in the same way, you just take your filter, pull it out, clean it. Once it's dry, put it back in place. And then make sure that our wiring is slightly to the side, this one. Line everything up, and then push it back up, and it should lock in place. So we're standing here on the outside corner of the coach at the front on the driver's side, and I've opened this front compartment so that I can access the pull handle to the front hood latch. So if I pull that towards me, that's going to unlock the hood. I want to make sure that nobody is standing in front before I pull it. So once I make sure it's clear and there's nothing in the way, then I can pull it. And it will open automatically, and I can see all of the areas here in the front firewall that would need to be checked or serviced. Just a quick overview here. If you look to the right here, you're going to see this is your wiper washer fill. Just open that to fill that when it gets near empty. You've got your air horns here, street horn, auxiliary air fill. If your engine is on and your coach is aired up, you'll be able to have the connection coupler that connects in here, and we'll show you that hose. You can fill your air, inflatables, or if you need to put air in your tires, you can do that. There's a hot water spigot here. You can connect to this for hot water outside. Towards the bottom of that, you'll see a drain for the hot water. To winterize, you can open this, and then that'll drain out your water, and then you can winterize. You've got your ITR Oasis filter here that filters the diesel fuel that goes into your hydronic heating system. You've got your generator start-stop switch here. If you want to start the generator from the outside, just press that button down. It'll start right up. Make sure that the breaker is flipped up so you get power. To turn it off, just press down to stop. Sometimes if this breaker is tripped, it's not tripped all the way. It might be just, it looks like about like that. You need to go all the way down and then back up to turn that on. Otherwise, you won't get power inside your breaker box. You've got your oil fill, your coolant fill. Moving over here, you've got your HVAC system for the front cockpit area. You've got down below, you've got a reservoir tank for your hydraulic jacks. The white cap down below is a twist to open. I'll show you that here. If we take that cap off of the reservoir tank for our HWH, it's going to show the level of the automatic transmission fluid. We want to check this fluid with the jacks up and the slide rooms out. Once we've checked it and we're good, we can put the cap back on and tighten. And then to close the hood, we just reach up and push down. At the front of the coach, at the very top, we have our marker lights. In the center, just below the marker lights, is your front view camera. Straight below that, near the bottom of the windshield, is your mobile eye. This is your mobile eye that displays on the radio and on your glass dash that shows you where you are in your lane. So at the bottom of your coach in this panel, behind this panel, is the controls that allow the adaptive cruise to operate and to work. So you want to make sure that if you're driving in icy or snow conditions, that you keep this panel clear of ice and snow buildup. That way your adaptive cruise will continue to function and your collision mitigation system will work. We have our headlights, turn signals, fog lights, and adjustable mirrors. This mirror is automatically adjusted from the inside, but if you can't get enough adjustment to see where you want, you can loosen these screws, these Allen head screws, and you can turn the mirror or tilt it however you like. If that's not enough adjustment, there's another one here. You can take this cap off and you can loosen the nut here and you can move this whole arm if you need to, and then retighten, put our cap back on. So we're at the entrance door corner, and if we look at this corner behind the headlight, we see our side view camera. This camera can be selected to view, or if we turn the turn signal on for this lane, this camera will automatically come on and display whatever is in this lane. This is our entrance door. Above it is the door awning. The door awning can be operated from the overhead or the touch panel. At the touch panel, you'll have to select the outside and then awning for the door awning. The step right now is closed with the door. If I open the door, the step comes out. And when I close the door, the steps close. If I want to override that, I can go into the overhead above the driver's panel and turn it on. If I turn the entrance step on in the overhead, now when I close the door, the steps stay out. So that's a convenient way to get in and out of the coach without the steps always going or extending out and then retracting when the door closes. Another neat feature that Newmar has is you can close the door in two different ways, into the first latch or the second. Just by closing it softly into the first latch. If someone's inside and they're taking a nap, you'd want to close the door soft like that. That's going into the first latch. If you're traveling though, you want to use a firm close so that the door is even with the trim. So now we're into the second latch. We can lock and unlock the door with the upper and the lower locks. The upper one is the deadbolt, and that's the larger or longer tri-mark key. Lock and unlock for the deadbolt. And then the smaller key is for the door handle here. Lock and unlock. We can also use the key fob. The door lock and unlock are right here at the top. So lock, unlock, and baggage door. Lock and unlock. If I don't have my key fob with me or my set of keys to lock or unlock the doors, I can use the door handle. When Newmar ships a brand new coach, the code is all the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1 to unlock the bottom lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. That unlocks the door. To relock the door, just press the top lock button and the door locks along with the baggage doors. If I want the door to unlock and the baggage doors to unlock at the same time, use the same code, 123442 instead of 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2 will unlock both, or 2 locks, the door and the baggage. You should reset this code away from the Newmar code when you are the owner of the coach. To do that, there's a small button on the left-hand side of the steering column that you press. Once you depress that button, come out here, and this handle will be beeping a series of tones. When you hear that, just enter your new 5-digit code twice, 2 times. The second time you enter it, that will lock the handle into your new code, and you'll be able to use that for the rest of the time until you want to change it again. Then you can press that same button on the side of the column and change it again. But you should do that for your safety. That way you can remember your own code and give it to only the people that you trust. If we open the door, we can lock and unlock the door from the inside. Of course, if you want to lock and unlock the deadbolt, you can do that here. Lock and unlock. We want to make sure that it's unlocked when we close. If we're exiting the coach and we just want to lock the handle lock, we just press down and close. Now the handle's locked. To unlock it, we can use the key, we can use the key fob or the door handle, and that will pull this handle up. I'll demonstrate. So if we use the unlock here, this will go up. We can do that same thing with the door handle by entering the code or relock. The screen can be closed independent of the door. At the top of the screen door is a pull-down screen that latches here. Now I can just release it and close, and then close the slider. From the inside, when you press this handle down, it presses this down to unlock the screen door, and then the same latch holds it closed here. From standing on the outside of the coach, we can operate our Girard awnings with this remote control. We showed you inside, when you choose a channel that's 0, it's both awnings opening or closing at the same time when we press out. The upper corner LED light can be turned on or off. We can stop the awnings at any time. We can change the channel to channel 2 and run in separately from the front, which is number 1, or turn the light on in the rear. The awning automatically stops when it's all the way closed. We go back to the front one as number 1. We can press out to extend it all the way. And each one of these patio awnings has a sensor that's built in. So if it gets windy outside and the awning starts to move too much or shake, it will automatically retract. So to store the awning, we just go to channel 1, which is the front, and we hit in. We can turn the light off, switch channels, and turn the rear lights off. So you'll see the awning stop automatically. Newmar supplies these 2 tools to make adjustments to the amount that the awning opens or closes with this one. And in an emergency situation, this tool can be inserted at the top center of either awning and rotated to retract the awning if there was a power failure or a motor failure. So these are important tools to remember to use if you need them. In front of the wheel, straight back on the frame rail, are 3 lanyards. Those 3 lanyards need to be pulled weekly if you're using the coach weekly, and that will remove the water out of the air system in your coach. So remember to do that each time you travel or weekly when you're using your coach, because you don't want to have water in your air system. Just behind the front wheel, we have our side marker light, docking light, and our fuel fill door. Twist to open, and then clockwise to close. This is your diesel fuel tank. It goes to the same location, the same tank, whether you're on the driver or passenger side. In our first compartment going back is our basement freezer. Operates on both 120 volt and 12 volt, and those plugs are right here. So you've got a 120 volt plug and a 12 volt plug. Right now the 120 volts not plugged in, but we'll plug that in. To access it, just pull the tray out. This is Bluetooth compatible, so you can connect to your freezer via Bluetooth. On and off is here, and then your settings for temperature for freezer. You can actually turn this into a colder setting to make the whole thing freeze, or refrigerator. So you can change the settings up and down, a wide range of settings. Definitely go through your manual to learn more about all your settings and Bluetooth compatibility. In our second compartment back is our power tray. Open and close. Next compartment is another slider tray. The door behind this one has a latch here to open with another sliding tray. You'll notice the inner vac accessories are here in this bag. You can use these outside here at the inner vac or inside. Spare tile in case you need to replace any of the tiles inside on the floor. These match the same lot number and color as what you have. And our emergency retract for our full wall HWH slide. These can be used in a situation where the slide will not retract. So keep those here somewhere in the coach in case you need them. The entertainment center is in this door. The purple key is the one that opens to unlock. The Bose speaker has a remote, so you can just play music out here, or if you're running the TV, you can have the volume come through the speaker. If you grab a hold of the TV and pull it, you can then adjust it or angle it to wherever you want for the outside audience. When you're finished, we just pull it, and then the magnets hold it in place. You can use your phone or another iPad or device to connect to this speaker via Bluetooth. There's an additional 120 volt plug and charger outlets here on the back wall. When you're finished, just pull the door down and lock if you need to. Above that is your side view camera. This awning that's above the window is accessed to open and close at the touch panels. Behind that is your security light, marker light. In this compartment is a large access panel covering your lighting controls and relays. So if I wanted to access, okay, when any one of the lights are turned on or other functions in the coach, they're all named, so you can see the name of the function, and when it's turned on, a small green LED light will come on for that particular feature. So as I look behind the panel, I can see dinette overhead. So if I turn the dinette overhead light on, the small green LED light would come on for that function. To the left is a 120 volt outlet here and here, and a plug that's in here for the sensing circuit to tell the coach when it's plugged into 120 volt. This control is the bedroom slide out control, and the display tells you how much amperage that is using when it's going in or out. On the opposite side is our HDCMM Excite Solution high definition camera system, and each of the cameras is plugged in to these ports at the bottom. When we close the door, this magnetic switch is what turns off the LED light. We have another docking light here, and this compartment is storage. And in our rear compartment, we have our batteries. These are chassis batteries, but they power up the entire dash area. They also power up the HWH pump. So if you're going to operate your full wall slide out, your HWH slides, you want to have either the engine running or be plugged into shore power. You can turn or disconnect these batteries from the coach if you're going to put your coach in storage by turning these two switches here to the off position, which would be white line up, off, and the yellow handle to 0, and that would turn off the other battery. These both turn off batteries. There is a fuse, a 7.5 amp fuse here for the solar panel that's on the roof. So if you're not getting solar charge, check this fuse. That's your air system, filter, and your fuel filter. Just underneath the battery tray here are the fuses for your turn signals and brake lights. If you need to access that, just rotate it to the left and remove it. On the back side, there is all the labels for all of the running lights and other functions of the chassis, along with spare fuses and a tool to remove the fuse when you need to replace it. When you're finished, just put this cover back on and rotate clockwise. Your towing trailer fuses will be located there. The vent that you see here in the corner is your dryer vent. So you want to make sure that that is open so the dryer can exit the hot air there. So we're at the rear cap in the back of the coach. Looking at the top, you'll see at the very top edge your marker lights. As we move down, we see our rear camera, third brake light, and our engine cover. If we want to access the engine, we have to pull the release down, but we want to get our hand here before we release it because it'll come out towards us. We want to be ready. So we pull down and then slowly let it go up. This one's labeled ITR Oasis. This is your boiler antifreeze solution for your hydronic furnace. So the fluid expands and comes back into this compartment, and then as it cools, it will go down to a lower level. So just make sure that this is maintained. It's full. It looks maybe slightly overfill right now, but should be that line at the upper level, and the lower level is here. This is a special fluid, so refer to your owner's manual when you fill this. It's not just regular antifreeze solution. It's a type of FDA approved solution for that ITR Oasis system. Moving over here, we've got our hydraulic oil for our chassis, our engine preheat plug here. Just plug and block heater that preheats your engine. This is our engine oil fill. This is where we check. This is our dipstick. If we need to add oil, this is where we add it here. This is your transmission fluid. This is not only the dipstick, but also where you add it here. Just below that is an air filter monitor. So if the filter monitor is in the green range, the yellow diaphragm, which moves up and down, will stay in the green. If the yellow diaphragm goes into the red, that means you need to change your air filter. Where is your air filter? It's right here in this canister. So if this goes into the red, you'll need to have someone get into that and change that air filter. This is the final charge or antifreeze for your engine coolant. Make sure that you see that it has that tinted kind of reddish color so that it's full. The backup beeper is here. The sound that you hear when you put your coach in reverse comes from this box right here. When you're done with this compartment or servicing, just grab a hold and push down to close and latch. The third brake light operates at the same time as our brake lights here, our turn signals. This is our lights for reverse. In the center here at the bottom is our Bargman plug for our tow vehicle or trailer, along with our Air Force One connection here. On the corner, there's a vent. That vent is where the fresh air goes into the engine filtration system. So that needs to be clear so that you have good intake airflow. So these louvers are where air moves into the engine for cooling. There's a fan and your radiator for your transmission and engine coolant are here. So these need to be clear so that we have good airflow. Our first compartment going forward is our DEF fill. Just remove the cap and fill. Docking light. And our next compartment forward is our water bay compartment. So we are looking at the water bay compartment, and we showed you this tool a little bit earlier, and this is what will open this canister so that you can install your whole house filter, which filters all the water that goes into your house or your freshwater tank. So to do that and install this filter, when you get your coach new, and there's a clip here at the top that you have to lift up to unlock. Once you get that unlocked, then you can insert the wrench here and then turn counterclockwise to open. Once we open it, we can slip the filter in and then retighten it and line up our lock and then put our clip back in. And now all of the water that goes into the coach goes through the filter and into the water tank or coach, and we have filtered water. How do we get the water in the coach? Right below it is the hose that supplies the water. You can see it's labeled City Water and Tank Fill Connection, Supply Water, Max 60 PSI. So we connect this to our water supply and turn that on. That will go into the hose, through the hose, into the filter, and then into the coach or into the freshwater tank. You make that selection right here. So if you wanted to fill manually the tank, you would leave it pointing down to that position. If you have it in this position and the water's flowing into the freshwater tank here, freshwater tank, it's going to fill up to a point where if you don't shut the supply off, it will overflow and come out the bottom. It's not a big deal, but if you see water coming out the bottom near your freshwater tank here, that's because you left it in manual fill. If you want it to fill kind of automatically, you can make that adjustment on your screen, but then you'll need to select the auto tank fill here. Auto tank fill and auto city supply. Or if you don't want it to fill automatically, you just want water coming in the coach without filling the tanks, then you select the city supply and it overrides the automatic fill. If we wanted to drain all of the water out of the coach and winterize it, our low point drains are right here. We'd make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then we just open these up. And all of our hot water lines and cold water lines will drain. Once those low points are drained, we would close here and drain the freshwater tank. The freshwater tank valve is all the way over to the left. We'll show you where that's at. Once you drain your freshwater tank, you can see it's labeled there, low point drain. Open that valve once the freshwater tank is drained and you've drained your two hot and cold low points. Then you would close that along with having these closed. You would take your fill line, cap off, put it into the winterizing solution, rotate these two valves in the opposite direction. The instructions are here. And then you would turn the water pump on. The water pump switch is here. Go to tanks, and you'll see water pump right here. We can turn our water pump on. Once we turn that on, it will draw the winterizing solution up throughout the entire coach. We'll need to open up all of the water lines, flush the toilets, operate the appliances to get the winterizing solution into all of the lines and all of the appliances. Then we can shut the water pump off, cap our line, and reverse these two lines, and we're ready for the winter. That's the winterizing process. Just refer to these instructions and your owner's operator's guide for more information. There is a video on Noogle that you can watch as well. The water pump is right here. In the event that you turn the water pump on and let's say you have slightly low pressure or no pressure, there is a screen that you can clean out right here at the base. Just turn this, twist it off, remove the screen and clean it, and then twist it back on. So that's a screen that you can remove manually and clean it right here. Just to the left of the water pump is the thermostat that controls the heating system in this compartment. That cuts in at about 40 degrees if you have the ITR Oasis turned on, which is your hydronic furnace. So if you're camping in a cold weather environment and you want that thermostat to turn the heat on down here, you've got to make sure to turn on your ITR Oasis burner on your touch panel. And we'll show you that. So let's talk about how to drain your tanks. This hose is a smaller one than this hose. You can use either one to drain your tanks. The small hose is going to drain the tanks through a macerator called an RV Sanacon. This big hose is just going to be connected to your sewer hose that you'll connect to your sewer, and that goes directly from the tanks and out without going through a grinding process. So how do we do that? To use the macerator, we have to take the cap off, the big one or the little one, and insert it into the sewer. We can run that through here. So we insert this through the floor. Okay, we put that into the sewer connection. And then right here, you can see RV Sanacon. This is the valve we pull towards us to open. Then we turn the RV Sanacon on, and then we can either open the black valve here or the gray valve here. I like to open the black valve first, empty the black tank, and then the gray tank open, and that gray water will help rinse out the Sanacon hose. When we're finished draining either the black or the gray, we close those gate valves. And or if we want to rinse the black tank, we can do that. We don't have to rinse, but it's a good idea to keep the inside of the tank clean. So if we pulled our black tank open and our Sanacon is on, we can see here the black tank rinse valve is right here. We can connect our hose here. That will put water into the black tank. There's a spray device in there that sprays the tank down, and that will come out of the Sanacon. Once we've rinsed the black tank, we can turn the water supply off and put our cap back on. Here, we can do the same process for the gray tank and then rinse the gray tank and then put our cap back on here. In the event that we use either of those rinse, there is a line that goes to those positions. They're called black tank rinse low point drain. So if we want to release the pressure to those lines before we remove the hose, we can do that here so we don't have pressure here when we remove the hose on either one. Or if we're winterizing, we want to open each one of these so they drain before we winterize. There's an additional warning here at the bottom that says when using the Sanacon, make sure the main drain valve is closed. Open the gray and black tank drain valves. There is a shower on the left here. You can lift this and rinse the hoses or whatever items you might have in this area. hot and cold. As long as the water pump is on or you're on city water fill, you'll be able to have water pressure out here. That is how we use the SantaCon. Now let's say we were connected here to this main drain. This allows the effluent to come out when our hose is connected here and then into our sewer by a main gate valve here. So we would open the main gate valve first, and then we would drain our black tank here by opening this valve and or the gray tank independently or after the black. But to have this drain coming out with effluent, we have to open this valve first. And then when we're finished, we close each of those valves. There is a water tap here that you can connect to and open and close. Along with that, in the upper left corner is your touchpad where we showed you how to turn your water pump on. The first icon is your tanks. If you've emptied your tanks, they should show empty. Obviously, they'll show at the level that you are at when you haven't emptied them yet. In the center, the icon for power will start your generator, and it also shows your battery state of charge. And if you choose the exterior icon, you can start or stop your generator, and you'll be able to see, you can turn your driver or your driver security or passenger security lights on and off, and you can dim them with the dimmer switch. When you're finished using either hose, you'll want to pull it up to store it. Pull it back through the floor and put your cap back in, turn it to lock. Be sure and close the SantaCon line along with the other valves. And the last thing that you would want to stow away is the fresh water supply. This is a power cord reel, and the switch to retract is here. Just press and hold until the hose is retracted. And that's the process for these controls. So in our next compartment forward is our ITR, meaning International Thermal Research, Oasis Chinook hydronic heating system. This does two things. It heats your hot water and it heats the air in your coach in two different ways, either through the burner, which is a diesel burner, or through two heating elements. So initially, when we take delivery of the coach, if we want the heating system to work for both, we have to turn it on. That power light has to be steady green, and then we can turn it on and off from the inside panels. Whenever a function is working, that green light comes on here, or if it's failing, the red lights on the bottom will come on. If you see a red light on any one of these from the igniter down to the low water, you'll have to have those serviced. If any one of the solid green lights start to flash on and off, they need to be serviced. In addition to those lights and what they tell you by either flashing green, service, or red, meaning service, there is a panel right here with the same kinds of lights, green or red, that you'll need to check. There's a panel that you can just lift off. There's tabs on each side. And these, when they're operating, are always green like these, solid green. But if you ever see them turn red, that zone fan or pump may have an issue. There are fuses on the inside of this panel, right here on the back, on both sides. So if any one of these is red, the first thing you'll want to do is reach in here and pull that fuse out for whichever light is red. There's a relay right beside it. Just pull the fuse. If it's bad, replace the fuse and it should go green. If it's not blown or you replace it and it stays red, then that zone fan or those zone pumps will need to be serviced. When you're finished checking your fuses, put this panel back up and clip it back on. If you look at that panel now, you can see the light that's lit is green. Solid green is good. If for any reason this is turned on but it won't function with the controls inside, Newmar supplies you with an additional panel that you can take out of the bubble wrap. There's a plug here. You can take this plug out and plug it in here and operate all of the functions right out here in case you have that type of situation. When the diesel burner is firing and you have a flame inside, you'll be able to hear it. The exhaust will be coming out there. You'll be able to look through this small window and there you'll see the flame. There is one other thing that you can do if you have an intermittent failure. You can press the reset button. That will reset the whole system and it will try to fire again. If for any reason you press the reset once or twice and it's still not firing or working, you'll have to get it serviced. These systems need to be serviced yearly. So the filter and the filter needs to be replaced and the nozzle needs to be cleaned. And that's done through this front panel here when it's removed. Above the hydronic furnace is your park cable. It plugs in here and that feeds into your coach so you can watch cable TV as long as your over-the-air Winegard TV antenna is turned off and you've scanned for the cable channels on your TV. Beside that is your cord reel. The cord reel is one that you pull out manually and then insert in the rubber boot and plug it into your 50 amp cord service. It's a 50 amp cord. The surge guard is behind it. What is the surge guard? The surge guard protects from high or low voltage coming in, either on this shore cord or from the generator. The generator power comes into the automatic transfer switch surge guard, and so does the shore cord. So the surge guard switches from either the shore cord supply or the generator, giving the generator priority. Whenever you're plugged into power and you're getting voltage from either source, the generator or the shore cord, it's displayed right here, line 1 and line 2. If there's any faults, you can scroll the screen up or down and see what the faults are along with the power supply on each line. There are 2 red lights that you can see on the transfer switch. That means that both of your lines coming into the 50 amp are giving you power. If you only see one, you're probably on 30 amps or there's something wrong with the transfer switch and you'll have to have it serviced. This is your InterVac system. You can access your accessories to it right here and turn it on and off right here. When you're ready to stow your cord, you'll remove it from the boot and press here, and the motor pulls it in. So in our next compartment forward is the power tray. Ours is our manual tray. Lift to open and push to close. It will lock by itself. So before you open your slide outs, you want to look here at the gap. This is called the reveal gap. And you want to make sure that it's about this 3/8 inch on both ends and bottom. If the fascia here on this side is too close to the Z-trim or touching, you want to park your coach in a more level area before you run your slide room out. This is the emergency exit door at the bathroom, and your security light and mid camera on the driver's side. So in this next compartment forward, you may hear some fans that are running right now. Those fans are fans that are mounted on the inside of this door, and they pull air out of the compartment and they blow down here and out. So those are cooling fans. So when I open the door, you'll see them right here. So they pull air from this compartment, and exit air comes out of the coach. These are your two inverters, your Victron inverters. They can be turned on and off on the side. Newmar recommends that you turn these to the on position, which is all the way up where it says on. If you go to the center, they're off and the LED lights go out. If you turn it down to the bottom, only the batteries will charge. Your inverter won't be on. So again, Newmar recommends you turn it all the way to the up or on position. That way your panel in the overhead will be operational. And if you happen to lose shore power, the inverter will use the battery power to keep your refrigerator turned on so you don't lose food in your refrigerator. In the next compartment forward, in front of the Victron inverters, are your lithium battery packs. These will power up and send power into the coach through your inverters. Even though they're 12 volt, the inverters change the power to 120 volt for your kitchen appliances. The inverters will also charge these batteries when you have your generator running or you're plugged into shore power. If you disconnect any of the lines here, change your batteries, there's a schematic on the back wall they can refer to make sure that you've wired everything back to the way it was originally. In the back corner at the top is your BMS. We talked a little bit about that earlier. The BMS needs to be turned on initially so that you get power out of your batteries when you turn on your battery disconnect. You can turn the BMS on out here or with the same blue button in the overhead. The compartment in front of the batteries is a sewage hose storage compartment. In front of that compartment is your diesel fuel fill. This goes to the same tank as the other side. Marker light or docking light, marker light. And our last compartment forward, or first one on the driver's side, we showed you a little bit earlier in the video. This is the release for the hood. Only pull this if you've checked to make sure there's nothing in the way, because the hood will open as soon as you pull. So you don't want to have anything or any person in the way of the hood. These two module boards have fuses and relays inside. They're all labeled. There's names beside each one. So these are all in the cockpit area, these fuses for all of the items in the cockpit area. If I get up a little closer, I can read some that say dome light, auxiliary battery, step cover, cargo locks, keyless entry. And if any one of these fuses is blown, we have spares right here. If they blow, you'll be able to tell right away because there's a little red LED light right beside the fuse that comes on. If you see the red LED light, pull that fuse out. The light right on top of it will come on. Pull the fuse out, see what size it is, and get a spare, and then replace that fuse. As soon as you replace the fuse, the red LED light will go out. The fuses in this lower compartment can be accessed by removing this panel. These are chassis fuses that come with the coach, chassis fuses and relays, and the label is on the back side of this cover for each one. So once we turn this around, we can see that each number fuse is labeled right here. So let's say our power seat for our heat wasn't working. We would go to F23 and we would pull F23 out and replace that fuse. Or if one of the relays needed to be checked, we can go to that number. Each of these is labeled for the fuse. So whenever let's say your pedals weren't adjusting when you use the pedal adjust lever on the steering wheel, then go to F12 and check that's a 10 amp fuse. If it's blown, get a 10 amp fuse here and replace it. To pull the fuse out, there's a small tool here. You can grab a hold of the fuse and pull and then replace. When you're finished, put the tool back. When you're done checking or replacing a fuse or a relay, then turn this around and put the screws back aligned and clockwise to close it. Just above this panel, there's a living room junction box for your floor heat, and the connections here are coming from the battery.